All right, ladies and gents, a little special edition of unboxing over here. Not really unboxing anything today, just going and doing a year in review for 2025, which has been a terrific year for buying comic books off eBay. These are all eBay wins in the past year. So I'm going to go through some of the, well, I'll go through all of them, but then just highlight the ones that were like really great deals. So let's start with right at the very top, Batman Arkham Asylum hardcover. These were like 40 copies. It's 20 BOGOs, so buy one get one. Um, so that was the total for that delivered was $117, and for the price that I paid for 40 copies, these were sealed, by the way, brand new. I love that book. This was like from the time when I collected when I was younger, and the seller had so many copies that I decided to buy quite a few of them. I flipped, obviously, a few of them just to offset that transaction, and then kept some of them. They were all brand new and they were all sealed. So when I sold them, it's not like I picked copies that were better or less for myself, because they were just all like just fresh mint copies. So moving on to the next one, Archie Pep Comic 60, number 63 from 1947. This was a reader copy. I think the cover was detached. But any book that you're going to get, you're going to find from Archie from before 1950 for under 50 bucks. 50 under 50. And this was 34.24. Gets my money, so that was a great score. Next, we got Conan 220, 241, 242, 243, two Jim Lee classic covers, one McFarlane classic cover. They were all offered for $16, shipped. Yeah, the prices, by the way, are all out the door. So these are the prices plus whatever shipping it was. So let's say with this, it was $15 plus free shipping and $1.05, which is eBay taxes. So this is a great score. Next, we had the Avengers. I believe it's issue number 9, if I'm not mistaken. What is that? Yeah, issue number 9, which is the first appearance of Wonder Man. And this was a reader. It wasn't actually that bad. It was good plus, actually. It's just an extensive fade on the cover and some expected wear. $15.47. I actually flipped that book for 120 bucks. At the time, I think that the character was optioned, and I just threw it out there for 120 bucks and it sold right away. Next, we had Spider-Man Torment, Todd McFarlane signed. These are the special red web editions. If anybody knows anything about these copies, those were supposedly the first 5,000 copies that McFarlane signed at a convention, and the LCS that offered them actually signed these copies in the back with a red spider web. So they're quite rare, and when you think about the significance of that book, just if we take it at face value, these are the first 5,000 copies, then it's even more ridiculous. They're very tough to come by. I got it for $70, which is great. Next, we got Alien Worlds number 1 to 9 with 5 copies of issue number 1, which is a great Joe Chiodo cover, and issue number 9, which is one of my personal favorite covers of all time, which is picking steam, by the way. If you get them graded right now, they're very rare. But yeah, as you can imagine, one of the 5 copies of issue number 1 actually scored a 9.8 when I sent it to CGC. And the rest I flipped, which is just a tremendous score for 46.68. This is still January 9th, by the way. This is not even like 2 weeks into the year. Next, there was a Star Trek 9 comic lot, including issue number 1, which is, I believe, was it around like a 4.0, and some other issues, including 3 and 4. They were not in great shape, but definitely a score for $119. Next, as a big fan of Fish Wrap and Fish Police, I had to jump on this deal over here. This was like three or four, yeah, four. No, it was three ish. The first three issues, including the first print, the second print, number one. For anybody that saw my video from, I believe it was GalaxyCon when CGC had the on-site pre-screen event. I actually ended up, you'll see later on, I bought more from this seller because I was so pleased at the price, $15.41. And at the condition, I actually scored 398 of that first print of Fish Police. So definitely a good deal. You'll see that coming. That's the same vendor, by the way, Silent Invasion, which is a terrific read. I had the whole run, but I was missing issue number one, and I bundled it with Fish Police, so I got that for $7, which is a good deal. Next, we have just a few Incredible Hulks McFarlane run for amazing prices. These were the prices that were offered. The seller was kind enough to combine all shipping for one price, which is very cheap. And as you can see, some of them are as low as $2.62. These are all classic McFarlane books. And the condition was supposed to be lower grade, but the seller has definitely undergraded them. They were like, at the very least, very fine. So I took advantage of the combined shipping and the great price. And this is what I got from this seller. Next, we had an interesting Akira trio book lot. This says that it was 33, 36, and 38, but it actually was 33, 37, and 38. Let's see if I can see. You won't be able to see this because it expired, but you'll see it for a snippet. It was actually those three books, 33, 37, and 38, for $167. What? Just issue number 38 commands $300 or $400 alone. And these were very fine plus, so they weren't near mint, but they also weren't readers or anything like that. So I was just like really happy to score these two books and a bonus of number 33. Next we have Eclipse Miracle Man number 1 for it was a 9.8, and it was offered for $60. Next we had the same deal as Akira. These were this was a lot of 6 Star Wars comics. And again, the situation here is that like issue number 68 wasn't advertised, even though for $61.71 to get like these lot of classic Star Wars, including that famous Boba Fett Mandalorian cover, was insane. Amazing Spider-Man 45, beautiful, beautiful copy here. I believe this scored at around like an 8.5, and getting it for $71 was a steal. This was a refund. Next was a few Teen Titans that were at around like a very fine. Quite a few books over here for $40. Like, love those Red Titan classics. And very fine grade, $40 out the door. I was really happy. And here is the rest of the Fish Police. The same deal as the other one, actually. This is for 6 issues, including the second print of the first. And I believe I got, what was it? 5, yeah. I got 5 sets of these for $57. So a little over $10 a set. And it was a great deal. And here was a nice lot of mutant books, including the very, very scarce X-Men 531, I believe, the JSC variant, all for $125. The issue 531 came back in 9.6. It was a 9.8, but still a great deal. These are going for $300 by them in that condition. Next, another refund. Then we have the famous lot of books that yielded a lot of goodies from these $117. It was $128. So just a little over a buck a book. And that's the price for the books shipped. So the total price was $128. That was with shipping and everything. And this yielded 2 Edge of Spider-Verse first prints, issue number 2 and issue number 4, or number 5, I believe. And they both scored 9.8 grades. So that was a great deal. Next, we had a Strange Tales annual, which came at about, like, I want to say a 5.055. Seller listed it as fair. for $111.95. Next, we had Incredible Hulk lot that had the first appearance of Thunderbolts, I believe, in that one, and a few other books for $38.50. Next, we had Aliens #1 first print, which was a really nice copy, and it did have some staple rust, but the overall look of the book was just stunning. So to get that in an average of 7075 with a really, really nice glossy cover for $42 was a steal. Next, we had a Meet Miss Bliss #4 from 1955, classic Stan Lee Atlas Comics for $16. And here's a bunch of X-Men. Was this an X-Men lot, I believe, or just a random lot of sorts for $21, which I couldn't resist. Then we had these two beauties, two Amazing Spider-Man omnibuses with the classic Romita and Alex Ross covers. The first one $34 and the other one for $33.12. These are going for $150 or $200 all day long, and the condition that they were was definitely right. So great prices, steals on those. Some more ink. Here was a classic book that I love. As a kid, this was one of the first comic books, if not the first Marvel superhero comic book that I owned, so I had to have it in 9.8. This is a newsstand edition, and it has the Mount Rushmore classic cover by Buscema, so I had to own this book, and $87 was definitely a good price. Next, I got this ASM 300 newsstand, which came back at 9.4, and for $272 was a really, really good steal. Another CGC 9.8, which is a small with small circulation, was Bone 10, first print. Then this was actually a reprint of Vengeance of Bane, which was refunded. Marvel G.I. Joe lot of 8 for $24.91. Then a lot of 10 bronze Hulks, some early bronze Hulks for $24.91. Caliber Christmas #1 in 9.8 for $119, which is an amazing classic book with the great James O'Barr cover. Next, we had a lot of 20 G.I. Joe #65 for under $20, as well as issue number 72, 15, a lot of 15. Now, these were advertised as 7.0s, but they were near mint, actually. They were just a little wrap, which is, the cover was a little warped, which is typical to these books. Next, we had a Mark Chuler, Incredible Hulk 244 for $21. An Amazing George Perez Avengers Artist Select series, which was signed by Perez. These are going for about like $250, $300. Next, we have Bill Sienkiewicz New Mutant Artist Select as well for $121. Next, I got a few Swamp Things number 10 and 11 from this dealer that I bought before. These were, how many copies did I get? I got 7 copies, so 14 altogether of these two books, one of each, for $128. These were all between very fine to very fine near mint. Great score there. Next was one of my, I think this was like my best deal this year for sure. You've seen it in some of my videos, and it's in my intro. It's Luke Cage Powerman issue number 31, with which was pages 16 and 14, originally drawn by Sal Buscema and inked by Neil Adams. Got these for $481.50 and $535. Next was a lot of Batman comics. These were listed as acceptable, but they were in far better shape than acceptable. I can't remember how many books were there. There are quite a few of them for $65 with some minor keys, which were really, really nice. Golden Age Superman 85, 5.5 CGC graded for $152. Next, we have a few slabs that I won on auction. with no particular key significance, but just really, really cool covers at a very, very low price. ASM 25 Ron Lim variant. Astonishing X-Men SDCC edition for $26.59. And Winter Soldier Bit of March, March number 3, signed by Eddie Granov, C2E2 edition for less than $30. 98 SS. Great, great score there. Next we have Cheval Noir number 7, classic Dave Stevens cover for $43.88. What gravitated me to this book was the pictures, which looked solid. This was in such great shape that I decided to send it to CGC, and I did get a 9.8 on it. And this book is going for $300 in a 9.8 condition. Next were just G.I. Joe number 1 and number 3 in excellent shape for $81.71. Issue number 1 came at about 96, 9496. You never know, it could be a 9.8. I haven't seen it to be graded, but it's just flawless condition. And number 3 was in nice shape as well, although not 9.8. Next we had another insane deal, batch of 6 EC classic books with some weird science. Mad issue number 9, I believe. Weird fantasy. They're all reader copies, but for $214, this was a steal. Next was a batch of Luke Cage, number 2 to 16 straight run, and these were indeed on average of between 9.0 to 9.4 for $117. Next we got Marvel Incredible Hulk 180, first cameo appearance of Wolverine. And this was like a distributor copy because it appeared to be brand new, but obviously the cover was torn, as you can see. And as I explained in earlier videos, the reason why you want to get this book is definitely not for anything else other than that page with the first appearance of Wolverine. Next were a lot of 19 Batman classic bronze comics, including some early Killer Croc appearances. These were all at near mint, very fine near mint to near mint, so anywhere between 9 to 9.4 for $89. This was a steal. And the same deal with 19 Detective Comics for $100, $101.65. Again, these were all at around very fine to very fine near mint, even though they were described as fine to very fine. Same seller had a lot of 14 Amazing Spider-Mans, 14 classic Amazing Spider-Man books for $60.68. A lot of 21 Daredevils from the same dealer. These are all classic and in really, really nice shape. And then also 20 Incredible Hulks with some early bronze appearances for $88.04. I believe these are all from the same seller. I can see just because of the date, I bought them all in one go. And they were just listed by the seller that I was following for a while. Another lot of 11 Amazing Spider-Mans for $49.98. And these are classic, and again, in near mint condition. These came for an average of less than $5 a copy, which is amazing. And then also 8 Avenger classic bronze Avengers for $37.45. Next, we have Police Comics number 33, which is described as VG, but was more like Fine Plus. And for $39.60, this was a steal. And here's another Incredible Hulk 180. The same situation as the other one. The only difference, this one has the cover. And but still, at $113, it's definitely a steal. Next, we had about, what was it, like 10? I believe 10 horror classics. These are mostly Witching Hour, Ghosts, and Unexpected Tales, and they were for $10 shipped. So 10 books for $10, it's like $1 a pop. It's definitely a good deal. And here's a bunch of other old Dracula and horror books for $29.67. Nothing significant other than early Draculas in there. And then we have the giant size X-Men number 1, which I am still working on cleaning and pressing. This one was offered for $900, had about like 20 washers on it, and then I sent an offer for $600, or $620. What was it? Yeah, it was 600, and with their shipping and everything, it came to 648.81. This has a potential of being anywhere from 4 or 5 and north, between 4, 5, and 6, because it has a small spine split at the top. I think it's either an inch or half an inch, but other than that, it just needs to be cleaned. Next, I had 2 copies of Heathcliff. I believe it's number 11, which is the classic Marvel frame cover. And the seller had 2 of them. They were both newsstands, and together he packed them together. He broke down the prices, $8.56 and $16.59. Next, I had some CBCS signed slabs. Nothing too particular other than Jim Shooter that signed all of these, and Bob Layton and J.J. Jackson, for very affordable prices here. They were not 9/8, but they were still slabs and signed by the late Jim Shooters. Brave and the Bull, these were like really, really nice. These were definitely anything north of 9.0. And it was a lot of 16 books from 94 to 110. A near complete run, or actually it was a complete run. And it's including some classic Nick Cardy and Neil Adams covers for $86.51. Uncanny X-Men 122 ended up being near mint for $14.84, and here's another classic 140 for $21.26. 2 of these of Uncanny X-Men 212, which were beautiful copies. One of them scored a 9.8 for $21.38. Next, I got that insane deal on Amazing Spider-Man number 129, which was an 8.5. Let's come up. There you go. Yeah, you can actually see the picture on that one. Next, I had this batch of books: Batman Adventures 12.96, Power Man Iron Fist number 50.98, Star Wars number 196, Fantastic Four 44.85, Iron Man, which is a beautiful, beautiful 8.5 to 9.0 copy, and ASM number 2, which is a beautiful, beautiful 6.0 5560 copy. All for $26.75. Amazing, amazing score. Next, I had Frankenstein number 2, which was a nice, beautiful near mint copy for $19. And also classic Bernie Wrightson cover, which was a near mint plus $24.44. Next, I had to get another copy for the ever-expanding collection of Marvel Presents Superman vs. Spider-Man Treasury original first print. It ended up being $68.46. Then we had a whole bunch of vintage. Majority of these were horror books, in not the best condition, but there were so many of them, and I just couldn't resist buying these. Some all classic Charlton Silver Age, some DC Silver Age books, all offered for $89.99. And shipped, this was $118.33. Next, we had just really nice run of Shield number 2, 4, and 5. Way better than 2, 5, that I'll tell you. These were at around definitely, these were definitely around like a 6.0 higher. Nice complete copies here that have yellowed and just needed a little bit of TLC as far as like pressing and cleaning. Nice run of books. Next, we had Black Cat number 4 in poor condition, but still, it's a Black Cat number 4 from 1947. Again, classic Harvey book for $42. This was listed in error, refunded. Next, we had a batch of 18 early G.I. Joes, and there were first prints, and they were all very fine near mint or higher for $101.65. FF45 in a fine-ish condition, $69.55. Spectre number 1 for $12, and this was around a 6.0. Detective 387 classic 30th anniversary cover, which is a 9.0 for $24.55, and a Batman 206 for $18.34. A whole bunch of House of Secrets, 13 copies, really nice books in here. Most of them were very fine. and some shipping came out to $80.24. And then the same seller listed a whole bunch of 7 copies of Weird Mystery Tales that are around again, very fine or higher, for $29.95. Next, we had a batch of Conan, a straight run between 1 to 150, and then some odd and ends. Issue number 1 at around 90, between 85 to 90 for $6.84. Then Wizard Magazine number 1, newsstand edition, near mint for $57. Love and Rockets I just needed for my run. Then I had this classic Todd McFarlane number 318, Mark Jeweler edition. This was like anywhere from 9.4 to 9.8 for $29.96. Next, we had a crazy batch of 72 Spider-Man books right over here for $107, which yielded many near mint McFarlane ASMs. An assorted batch of books for $23.69, which had Omega Man number 3, all for $23, under $25. I needed that for a run. And we had a huge lot of G.I. Joe Generation 1 G.I. Joe classics in here. Most of these were very fine near mint to near mint, all sold for $90.36. We had also a batch of Batman 436, 8 copies of that, and 45500 variants, 5 copies of that for less than $25. Classic run of Ghost Rider. These are really nice copies, folks. 33 copies of classic first generation Ghost Rider for $141. Straight Flush Wolverine number 1 to 4 in really nice condition, $141. Sandman number 8, $23.95. And then Swamp Thing 37, which was a nice 9.4 for $69.82. America's Splendor number 1. Thundercats number 1 and other goodies over here for $39.23. And then this crazy multiple copies of number 3, and then a whole bunch of 5s and some other ones, and these were all going for $77. Next, we just had a batch of fine to very fine condition cheap ASMs, bronze classics. Then we had this fine condition ASM 39 classic Romita that I won for $112 in an auction, and also issue number 31 First Gwen, similar shape, for $205. Batman number 244, famous Ra's al Ghul cover, very fine-ish, for $86. Daredevil lot between $147 and $151. So this was a near complete Frank Miller run, which was at around like fine to very fine with a few near mint. Wasn't the prettiest of shapes, but still was in there. So first Miller work as well. There it is. So definitely a good deal for that price. Next, we had these beautiful, I would say file copies even, of these classic Harvey books from the 50s, early as 1951. Just had to have them just because they were so pretty, in such an amazing shape. 14 copies all in all for $276. Next one is just a fun lot of number 1 issues. Nothing too crazy over here, but for the price, it was definitely nice. And the same deal over here, $57 for some classic early bronze DC books in there. Next, we have Transformers number 1 to 4, which were at around like very fine near mint for $77. Punisher number 1 to 4 limited series, such a beautiful book. I am going to send it to CGC, and I wouldn't be surprised if it comes back a 9.8. There's also number 1 for the first solo run, as well as 2 Jim Lee covers, number 6 and number 7. Next, just a batch of Conan Savage Sword of Conan books that were just very affordable. 21 copies for $25. Came to a little over $1 a pop. Definitely good deal there. Batman Dark Knight, which came in to be like in really nice shape, between 9.4 to 9.6, $65.83. Then a whole bunch of Marvel team-ups, including 141. 64 copies for $95.98. Tales of Teen Titans, these were a little bent, so they need a lot of pressing. Nothing major over here, just like really nice books, but sadly these were a little bent. But still, for $55 is definitely a good price. Then we had a whole bunch of ASMs over here, including multiple copies of classic McFarlane books. Some of these were newsstands, which is always a delight, and most of these were near mint for $143. Then we had a bunch of classic Golden Age readers over here. There were 5 of them for $35, including a really classic Veronica cover over here, which I loved, and that was $35.04. Then we had a whole bunch of Witching Hour, including issue number 28, which is very sought after. Just a whole bunch of them at very affordable prices. There were, I believe, 14 of them. Really nice shape. Then we had the whole run of Captain America, 216. It wasn't like actually a complete run, but it was still a nice run of 216 classic bronze and copper books for $165. Complete run of Batman Family 1 to 20 of 64, ranging from fine to very fine near mint. And then Superman's Jimmy Olsen number 134. So that was it. That was the year that was 2025. As you can see, packed to the brim with deals and steals and all sorts of goodies. Hopefully you enjoy this video, and I'll see you next time.